A few comments on this 47% comment. The Romney, this secret, this camera, this apparently it was like a cell phone camera that was left on a table a couple months ago while Mitt Romney was making a speech, speaking to the choir and maybe some of the more wealthy people, trying to convince them to say that there's a clear choice between President Obama and the Republicans, the country club crowd kind of thing. And what he was basically saying was that there are 47% of us that are living off the government. We have this mindset that we need to be taken care of, and that we are screaming for handouts and one easy street. And there's that 47% that want easy street, and we we're like this disabled group that can't think for themselves. And so there's black or white. It's the 47% on either side. So by oversimplifying it for his high donors, the big money, he's speaking to the big money, he's oversimplifying it, and he's making it a very easy decision for them. Unfortunately, this blew up in the press. This blew up because somebody had a camera watching this whole thing. So obviously this is an embarrassment. It should be a big embarrassment for him. And how he's speaking to it, he's really avoiding the question apparently now on the stump. So there's all these articles now about the 47% and what Romney was meaning, or what this shows his, if you watched Chris Matthews last night, this shows his real self. This is the first glimpse at the real Romney, this real cold-hearted businessman that just cares about grabbing as much money as he can. And this might be kind of what he's like, though, so we can't be naive here. So do we want to elect somebody who's not compassionate to 47% of us? Yeah, I mean, just think about it. I mean, how does he defend that logically? How does he defend that? A couple of articles here. This one from CTV News. I'm not sure what that stands for. It states that Republican Mitt Romney is running damage control after video of the presidential candidate telling wealthy donors that nearly half of Americans believe they are victims was posted online. The video, obtained by news magazine Mother Jones, was reportedly captured at a closed-door fundraiser in Florida in May before Romney formally secured the Republican nomination. In the clip, Romney shares frank opinions about voters who support U.S. President Obama. He says there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe they are victims, who believe the government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe they are entitled to health care, to food, to housing, and you name it. And that's an entitlement. So there's these bad people over there that are just addicted to entitlement, and then there's the rest of the smart people like us. Another leaked video from the same $50,000 plate event shows a former Massachusetts governor questioning the feasibility of a two-state solution for the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. In the clip, he says Palestinians don't appear to be interested in peace, and we are committed to the destruction, and they are, that is, committed to the destruction and elimination of Israel. So that gives the black and white. There's a Pat Condell type, BS there that I'm right and you're wrong. That's just absolute insanity. The video was shot at a home in Boca Raton, Florida, belonging to private equity manager Mark Leader, according to Mother Jones magazine. On Tuesday, it was revealed the person to leak the tape was none other than the grandson of former President Jimmy Carter, who was apparently angry at the GOP attacks against his grandfather. So Romney did not refute the authenticity of the video at the news conference Monday. He said that his words were not elegantly stated or were off the cuff. So okay, just dismiss it, but are you saying that you didn't mean that? Or let's say if you make a comment to your wife that's not very smart, okay, are you just going to say, no, honey, I was just off the cuff, have a good day, and you're not going to take time to explain that? You got to explain it. Okay, he's not explaining it. He can walk away. In his news conferences, Mitt Romney, if he doesn't like a question, he doesn't answer it. You know? So it is kind of ridiculous. Romney is a millionaire, multi-millionaire businessman who spent much of his election campaign defending himself against the criticism that his wealth prevents him from relating to the average American. Detractors pointed to his wife's Cadillacs and his venture capital firm in an effort to prove he is out of touch. So, you know, out of touch. I mean, I have no problem with somebody being rich and having multi-millions, but you can own Cadillacs and have a nice house and still be compassionate to your neighbor. I mean, there's nothing. It's more of a character flaw. It's not his upbringing that is his fault. If we get caught up into that, it's like, okay, then all rich people, then we're, then we're in a class warfare where all people who are well off are bad people. That's not a good direction either. So then, the talk shows on the left will demonize and turn it into a class warfare. So we're it's like, where's the sanity in the middle? That's all we're asking for here. So anyway, this video is very damaging to him, and if it really shows who he really is, then this is probably the death knell to his presidential campaign. Even Paul Ryan called Romney inarticulate. So how many times have you seen the vice president call the presidential candidate call the presidential candidate inarticulate? So he's got a mess, and I would imagine behind the scenes with Romney and his advisors there's a lot of anger and shouting and a lot of mess going on there. It's a hot mess. That's what it is. Okay? It's just a hot mess. So, and then of course the right is picking up on this. He's talking about this 47%, and then Romney's trying to pick up the ball and say entitlement and redistribution. So he's hitting, if you've noticed, he's hitting harder on the redistribution thing now. The redistribution is a highly charged word, according to an article in the LA Times today. It plays into the makers versus takers construct that has emerged as the defining themes of the election. So the makers versus the takers. I made it, you didn't make it. There's this anger from people that are business owners, and I made my money. God damn it, I made my money. And these silly fools think they can have health care. These silly fools think they have control. So this is the makers versus takers, and of course the right misinterpreted the Obama comment of "you didn't make it." What the president was trying to say is that we're all in this together. We're all building this world together. It's not just a bunch of elites building things and then the rest of us bowing to them and saying, "Oh yes, sir, I'm afraid to lose my job." Hello. So anyway, this theme of makers and takers is going to be with us until the election. The debates are going to be, I guess I'm kind of a nerd. I like to watch those debates. The debates are a lot of fun, and I see that Biden is going to probably wipe the floor with Ryan. Ryan is being touted as this intelligent, blue-eyed, articulate person, and I think Biden has got some more firepower than Ryan is not expecting. So anyway, this makers-takers theme, according to the LA Times, meshes with the Romney-Ryan argument that the economy can take off again if the government pulls back and scales down, liberating makers to expand their businesses and put people back to work. By contrast, the GOP argues Obama clings to a failed ideology that by doling out money to people as a type of stimulus will revive the moribund economy. As Romney put it in his speech yesterday, I believe the way to lift people and help people have higher incomes is not to take from some and give to others, but to create wealth for all. Well, that makes sense, but you're still in the Koch brothers crowd that believes in keeping the lower class where they are, and the middle class, sorry, you're evaporating. That's kind of your philosophy, though, so you're contradicting yourself. So the makers versus takers dichotomy is misleadingly simplistic. I think the LA Times editorial has it exactly right there. It's misleadingly simplistic. Much of America falls into both camps. Businesses get tax subsidies, loan guarantees, and contracts from federal and state governments. Most workers pay into the Social Security and Medicare systems, but there's no way to predict which ones will get more than they put in. Plenty of taxes, mainly southern and rural ones, receive more in aid than their residents pay in taxes. Plenty of states, that is. Redistributing the wealth, meanwhile, has long been standard operating procedure for the federal government. The income tax has been progressive since its inception in 1913, which means high-income Americans paying a higher percentage of earnings into the federal kitty than their less intrepid neighbors. The same system can be found in numerous states, even if there is only one tax rate, though the wealthy would pay more into the system. A flat rate of 5% collects 10 times as much from someone making $250,000 as somebody making $25,000. You might argue that this is not really redistribution, it's just a way of charging the wealthy more for government services that benefit everybody, such as national defense and food safety inspections. But a portion of the federal kitty pays for the safety net programs whose direct benefits are confined to the unemployed and the impoverished. By funding these programs, government transfers wealth from the rich to the poor. So there's a certain amount of redistribution going on anyway. And I get that argument of, if I made it, I deserve it, I should keep it. But, what Obama is saying again and again and again, we're all Americans, we're all in this together, and for there to be, well, what's the latest statistics? There's 3 million millionaires in the country, or multimillionaires. The rest of us are much less well off. So there's this highfalutin class up there. Highfalutin, that's a good word. Highfalutin class up there, and then we're all up just watching them go, wow, it'd be nice to be rich. So again, I think the most dangerous thing that the presidential campaign does is it fans the flames, it pours gasoline on the flames of class warfare. It just pours gasoline on the flames. So these things like 47%, and then you see Chris Matthews and Ed Schultz getting like extremely angry, and it's just like the super PACs. We're just getting at emotions. It's just not okay. So what's really missing is a lack of compassion for each other. I think that's the bottom line. So we're all arguing over these class warfare things, but as a country, we need the compassion to pull together and to be one. And Obama's been saying that for years and years, and I think he's right. And just to go back to the old Bush tax cuts, I'm sorry I earned it and you didn't, and tough garbage because you didn't earn it, and to take these sarcastic stances against people who don't make as much money, that's not going to help the country either. So again, in this redistribution is a highly charged thing. So it just goes on and on and on. Let's see, there's an article, the CTV article. Let's see if there's anything more in here, some quotes. The Obama campaign swiftly released a new attack ad which appeared to show people who had been stopped on the street, shown the video, and asked to react. This is interesting. And then one woman says, "I feel sick to my stomach with this ad." It shows me how out of touch. It shows he's out of touch if he thinks that half the country is feeling like victims. Again, this is his way of simplifying it for his money base. If you have a president who tries to separate by demographics, separate by classes, you're not really a president, says one man, with his son standing beside him. Romney also faced criticism from Republican stalwarts like former congressman and former TV host Joe Scarborough. Scarborough is even angry at this. Chris Christie, Paul Ryan, they would never say that in a million years, according to Scarborough. This guy is seemingly too insulated by wealth and by life experience. So even a guy like Joe Scarborough, who is a kind of like pretty well ingrained Republican, kind of like my friend Mark from Georgia, very ingrained Republican, and he's saying this. So very interesting. I'm gonna have to email my friend Mark from Atlanta to see what he thinks of the Romney statements. We had an interesting debate through Facebook on Obama's plan and affordable health plan and Medicare. On Tuesday morning, Romney and his wife Ann appeared on Live with Kelly and Michael, sharing a more inclusive message with American voters. Romney tries to patch it up by saying everybody in this country at one time or another will face challenges, adding that he believes his past as a Mormon pastor gave him experience empathizing with people. Well, he was a Mormon pastor? I didn't know that. So that seems to give him a moral high ground when he says he's a pastor, I guess. So anyway, it just goes on and on and on. And, you know, hopefully we will be able to figure this out one of these days, but what we're seeing right now is just class warfare, and that's not really leading to anything constructive. So there we go. There, I've said it, and have a good day.